Hello, accessible astrology community. How are we doing today? I'll just wait for people to come in, and hopefully we'll see a few folk come in right now. Let me just see. Oh, here we go. Hello. All right. Hey, how's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing okay. We've made it to April, and the first thing I need to say to everyone is that this will be the last time I'm going on Accessible Astrology, doing this live. So I will be going on Tareck Adeeb. I think Amy will probably be coming in a minute, and she'll probably post it here. Hello. Yeah, she'll probably post Tareck Adeeb. So you need to switch over to Tareck Adeeb if you want to start hearing this chat about the weeks, the months ahead, and everything that's going on right now. All right, so we made it to April, and we've come through what has been a very difficult and bizarre transformational month of March. And it was always going to be a really weird month because there's so much change, and it's strange when we see change with hindsight. It always looks a lot more than when we're actually in it. Sometimes we're just coping, we're just surviving, we're just trying to get through it. So bear that in mind. If you've been having a bit of a rough month, or you've been feeling a bit unsettled, and I don't think people should underestimate this Pluto and Aquarius. Like me and Eugenia were chatting the other day, and she was saying, we're both a bit out of sorts, feeling a little bit off. And I was saying it's Pluto and Aquarius, I really believe it is, even though obviously we still haven't really understood what that is yet, there's lots of things that happened last month. Saturn obviously has gone into Pisces as well, so that's another big one. Mars went into Cancer, and all these faster moving planets, are moving very quickly. For example, in April, we will get a Mercury retrograde. So there are a lot of things happening all at once, and that was March. That was the theme of March. But the reason why things are still a bit unsettled, a bit weird, is because we're moving into eclipse season now, which is only, a couple of weeks away. So it is a crazy period of time, especially when you're looking at the bigger picture, you're looking at the higher, the bigger context of all of this. Like I said, I think I've said this before, but I said to my mentees that, the last 6 months has been like one of the biggest intense periods of history, really. We're past the equinox now, but now we're moving into the eclipse season. So it's going to be pretty bizarre, I think, what's going to happen over these next couple of months, because not only do we have Venus racing through this month, going into Gemini, we've also got like I say, the Mercury retrograde and the eclipse. So there's just a lot of things moving fast at the moment, and a lot of things that are going to unsettle us potentially this month. So we've got to be grounded. We've got to be aware that this is the first round of Pluto and Aquarius. So it's a weird one because, like I say, when we're moving into the element of air compared to the element of earth, it was very, very intense when Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. There's no doubt about that. It felt like the whole earth had just suddenly shuddered, had kind of really just taken a huge hit, really, like earthquake energy, and it really felt like that. It really felt like the whole world was collapsing, and that was very much related to the 2008 crash. It was really interesting to watch. I remember when I was watching all of that, I was much more into the main calendar stuff than I was astrology at the time, but obviously that's got a lot of astronomy in it. So this cycles and everything. And when that happened, it was just so intense. Like it really felt like everything was crumbling down, and I'd already been aware of all of this before anyway. So I was seeing it happen in real time. So it's going to be very interesting, like I say, when Pluto goes back into Capricorn, because we're going to get that familiarity of Pluto in Capricorn that we've all got used to now since 2008. But the reverberations of it, and this is why I'm very, very keen to see what's going to happen in June and July with the Venus retrograde. The nodes will have shifted. So we're very much into the Chinese New Year then, which is the water rabbit. And we'll probably be seeing a lot of movement, the collective. So rather than grief energy, which has been a big theme of the last year and a half, it's going to be much more to do with like people, you know, like people power or discontent potentially, you know, revolutionary sentiment. The North Node being in Aries, you know, it means that we're going to have a lot of dynamic new, you know, so it's really good if you're on the exponential wave. You know, if you're on the actual other side of this, like the thrive, as I was saying last week, then actually, you know, you're in a really, really good position. For example, if you're a pioneer, you know, or if you're doing NFTs or these sorts of things which are going to be new, you know, obviously it's still very early and we haven't still quite got there yet. There's still a lot of regulation still to come in. There's still a lot of things that are going to potentially disrupt things. So, you know, I think everyone's feeling the pinch, you know, everybody's feeling it in some way economically. The last 3 years have been crazy, you know, and, you know, if I didn't understand the astrology, i.e. Uranus in Taurus, the shift of the financial system, if I didn't understand this shift to air, you know, the element of air, you know, Pluto in Aquarius, Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, then I wouldn't be as aware of what's going on, you know, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be, you know, pivoting, you know, potentially into this exponential wave, you know, where there are so much potential, where there are so much abundance. Just like what happened again, like if you think about 2000, because all these cycles are correlating to these crashes, you see, 2000, 2008. And, you know, I really get the feeling that this summer's going to be pretty intense for that. Possibly July, you know, again, with all these shifts going on, we could see a huge crash or huge stock market crash or real realization of all the redundancies. And, you know, everyone, like I say, is feeling the pinch in some way or another. You know, obviously inflation is the destroyer of all economies and we're in it and it's not stopping. Like I say, Credit Suisse got bailed out. That's more inflation. And, you know, we're seeing smaller banks massively minimised right now, not getting the support, going into being taken over by bigger banks. So, you know, all of this money printing is really serving that echelon of society. Wall Street, banks, the elites, people with money, power. You know, they're getting that basically blank check. And it's madness. But yeah, that's the world we're living in. And shifting towards a new Bretton Woods seems very, very likely, you know, whether it's going to be digital currency, which inevitably it will be, blockchain, whether it will be Bitcoin or whatever, you know, that's the things we don't know yet. But it's not stopping, you know, it's really, really not stopping. It's was always going to be that way when you look at the astrology. So let's see how it goes. We're in it now, you know, we're in this maelstrom. It's not over yet. There's going to be more bizarre things to occur, you know, this month and next month. And then, like I say, once we get to the summer, June and July, that's when we really start to understand what this new version of Pluto in Capricorn is, you know, with an Aquarius hat, you know, with a kind of, you know, that's the way I'm going now. That's the team I'm supporting now. Aquarius is what Pluto has always been thinking like that. You know, it's evolution, right? It was always going to go into Aquarius. So now, you know, it is kind of positive in a way, you know, if you are creative right now. But the reason why it's difficult to stay grounded, not flip out, not get scared as well by, again, the South Node in Scorpio. The South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus. Because the financial stuff is just terrifying right now. I mean, you know, it could easily have a lot less money right now. And again, as I said last week, you've got to focus on the positive. You've got to focus on, can I eat? Can I sleep? Can I, you know, have a community, have a friends? You know, all of those things are so valuable. And again, you know, harking to like Ukraine, just imagine how hideous it is living there right now. You could just die. You know, I mean, obviously, like any war-torn place, I'm sure places like Syria was the same, and all of these sorts of places. I mean, you got to be so grateful to think that you are not in those places right now, because just imagine the hell that people are living right now. You know, who are living in that environment, and you know, a lot of these things is out of our control. You know, it's high politics. It's there's so much jingoism going on at the moment, propaganda. You know, all of these sorts of things, and you know, it's shocking, isn't it? It's really, really shocking, and that's again the North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, and Jupiter in Aries as well. You know, this warlike energy, you know, was always going to be a feature of this time. And what's going to happen when Jupiter goes into Taurus next month? You know, hits that Aquarius. And we were just seeing it recently. You know, Again, I do monthly readings, and I was talking to my monthlies, the people who do that with me, and this 0 degrees Aquarius point is getting hit. It's getting hit at the moment. It got hit by Venus recently, but it's getting hit by Mercury. So that's actually happening today. Mercury enters Taurus today, so it hits that Pluto. So this is it now. The new themes that are occurring, related to this Pluto and Aquarius, I don't think should be underestimated. But it's very subtle. It's very subtle to work that out, because it's not all in yet. This is a 2-year process. It's when it's all in, when it's completely into Aquarius, then that's it. This next couple of years, it's emerging. That's why I keep going on to this technology and blockchain. All these various things are just such obvious features of Pluto into Aquarius. So Mercury hitting that today, and Pluto and going into Taurus, is going to give us more of a reminder of what this North Node's all about. What the point of all that is. Again, this survive, thrive thing, with the nodes there in Scorpio and Taurus. So obviously, if you're feeling the pinch right now, and you're feeling a little bit vulnerable financially, that's probably normal. I mean, again, have you reallocated? Now's the time. Have you considered buying other currencies or digital things, or whatever it is? Now's the time. I really feel that once we get more of this Taurus energy, when Jupiter goes into there, again squaring Pluto, then we're really going to get more evidence, and it becomes more obvious of this shift to this digital world that we're in now. Ever since 2020, that was the moment that really took it to that next stage. It was the end of the old world and the beginning of the new, and we've been in it ever since. So we get more clarification of that, I'm sure, this year. And again, I keep referring back to the Venus retrograde and the nodal shift, which will happen in the summer. So really, it's the summer that we're going to see the ramifications of all of this. Like I say, Pluto has had its little dip into Aquarius. It knows what it's up against now, what it's going to do, what it's going to transform. So what needs to be transformed in the old world, with that insight that Pluto will have, will be much more forthcoming, I'm sure. So expect a lot of volatility and a lot of potential, like, complete crash, maybe, in the summer. And also the Ukraine war, I'm sure, with Jupiter out of Aries, will also become much more obvious as well. So, is Russia winning? Is NATO? It is NATO. It's not Ukraine. It's NATO. Who's winning? And obviously, we haven't got to that stage, thank God, of it being a full-out war with NATO. It's still seen as Ukraine, which is in some ways a lot better, because otherwise it goes into escalation. So, with Finland now, moving into NATO, I mean, it's just amping up, and I think this will be more stark when we get to 2026. But for now, for the here and now, I think we've got much more madness to come over this next couple of months. I'd say feel into it today. Feel how you feel with Mercury coming into Taurus. The reality of the Earth, reality of our situation. I spoke to a friend of mine in England recently, and he was saying how the sentiment in England, because obviously there is hard times with regard to inflation, money, and again, sadly, what happens a lot of the time is that the focus becomes on, let's say, people who shouldn't be in your country, like minorities, or a lot of people escaping certain war-torn places or dangerous places, and there's so much trafficking, sadly, as well. And all of these weird things that are happening, what do you do when you're paying your way and you're illegal and all this sort of stuff? Then obviously you take it out on people. It's happened always in history. I see it similarly here. You get so much concern about people coming over borders and things like that, and it's a very sad situation, especially when you've got people who want to work and not given the opportunity, and at the same time there are legal reasons why people can't come into certain countries. So all of that becomes a distraction, really, from the real reason what's going on. At the end of the day, this money printing is not serving the majority. It's a disaster for the majority. It's making it worse for the poorer people in society, and it's removing the money from the middle classes, and it's going straight to the banks. So it's weird, isn't it, how this accountability is not really coming into effect yet. And we probably will see more evidence of this with the eclipses. The FTX scandal became much more obvious when the eclipse came through last year. You know, that Taurus eclipse was such a big deal last year in November. And, you know, we talked about it all year in my mentorship group. And nothing made sense last year at all, because there's so much corruption. There was so much stuff going on under the surface. And then that eclipse brought it all out. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this last Scorpio eclipse, which is in May, and this last Taurus eclipse, which is in October. I think by then, we really will be a lot clearer about the end of the old world and what is being hidden, being seen. Obviously in the news, you know, we've got Trump now again in the news. Shocking if you're an American, really, to see. I mean, this is obviously related to the Pluto return. You know, this is relevant to the end again of corruption, or the end of certain power figures. And then if you listen to other sort of like theories, you know, people who are into Trump, how this is all planned. And it's just so difficult on the mind, you know, to work out what's going on, and the level of deception, corruption, mental distraction. So you've got to really discern. You've got to discern all this stuff and know what counts for you. You know, if your money is going down, then sadly a lot of these big institutions have not got your interests at heart. So how are you going to survive? You know, how are you going to thrive? How are you going to make adjustments right now? So you're paying the bills, you're happy, you know, you're healthy. And again, if we start to see pivots, you know, like these interest rates and things like that in the summer, we start to see changes of things, then that's going to have such a dramatic effect on the economy. So we're really moving into it now. And again, with this Mercury coming into Taurus, remember, Mercury will go retrograde this month. So we're going to have this shadow period. It's a massive review of Taurus. It's a massive review of the last year and a half. It's very, very important as well, you know, with all this Aries energy, with Jupiter there and Chiron and all this sort of stuff playing out, is just to relax. You know, maybe I should just come every week and just say, let's just all relax, you know, because it's weird times that we're living in. So with Chiron there and everything that's happening in Aries as well, again, things can get very amped up, very painful feelings of fear, and we just got to relax. You know, it's super important. So as Mercury moves forward this week, it will conjunct the node, the North Node. So again, more realization, survive, thrive, in or out, what no longer serves, what needs to be removed. You know, this is the sort of stuff that we're thinking about. Remember, Mercury's about thinking. And the Sun also conjoining, is it Chiron? Yeah. So again, on the 5th, it's like we can get that feeling of, oh shit. Like, oh my God, what's happening? You know, we could be looking at our bank balance, we could be looking at things that we can't get, or things that are no longer relevant. And it can make us, again, remember what we talked about last week, it can make us cognitively dissonant. Like, I just want to check out of all of this. It's not the wise thing to be doing right now, that, if you can help it. Yes, we might need to think, right, time out, I can't cope, I'm getting overwhelmed, I need to just chill out, I need to relax. That's fine. And if you just do one thing in that day, great, you've done something. But it's not wise just to completely check out. I mean, look, the South Node is in Scorpio, you know. We could easily just check out in all sorts of ways. Like, for example, we could check out in terms of, I don't know, drug abuse, alcohol, whatever as well. You know, these are sorts of things. So again, having that discipline, or doing our best not to do that, not to go into denial, because then when things get more extreme potentially, or more real, like there's a lot of this sort of weird stuff going on where we're thinking, oh my God, like for example, I'm sure a lot of people, when Trump lost in 2020, were like, oh, thank God he's gone. And yeah, he's still around. So it's that, again, that fear, you know, false evidence appearing real, or, you know, that echo chamber of fear, you know, that spiral when we start to create more of that reality of If it's all over, like, like for example, a lot of religious circles, it's like, oh, this is the end times. And what does that mean? It doesn't have to mean like, oh, it's the end, we're all the hell on earth, and these sort of like much more male projections. I mean, it's not very feminine, is it, that? So we have to be wise, with all this information, not to lose sight. Yes, we are in a change, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of everything. It's apocalyptic kind of thing. It's a fear. It's not love. If it's love, then we can be thinking, look, the world is changing. In 100 years, will be space travel, all these sorts of things. It's hard to imagine that, just like I'm sure 100 years ago when there was just agriculture and no one could believe there'd be cars about, similar sort of thing. And this new technology that'll come in, obviously, with Pluto and Aquarius that changes everything, and we just got to get through it. We've got to get through this shift, of the old world and the new world. And that's what is really amping up now, because the eclipses is coming. It's coming on the 20th, you see. Sorry, just a question here. How do we figure out the nodes and Mercury impacts our personal chart? Okay, so depending on where your chart is, where your nodes are, that's personal in your natal chart. But everybody at the moment in the collective has got Taurus, the North Node in Taurus. So collectively, everyone's got that. And really, you want to check out where your house is, because obviously Mercury's there now as well. So whatever you have in Taurus in your natal chart is relevant to what I'm talking about at the moment. Obviously, it's also the fixed signs as well. So everything's always working in a cross, and there's trines and other things as well. So I don't know if you've ever had a reading, but that's how you get that kind of information. I hope that helps in body healing. I hope that helps, what I'm saying there. But yeah, have a look at your natal chart to the current transits is the key to that. And basically just have a look at Taurus in your natal chart. That's what I'm talking about right now. Okay, so we've got a full moon in Libra as well happening on the 6th. So again, this is all moving us towards this shift of the nodes and what is coming, what is coming with the summer. The summer is the key, if you ask me, because right now we're in change. I've talked about it already. We're in change right now, but really it's the summer. That's the impact. Like I say, think of it like this. Pluto has now got his toolkit of Aquarius in his pocket. Think, right, I've got in there, I've had a look, I've had a little look around, I've worked out what I need to transform now, and now I've also got to change the last so many years since 2008 in Capricorn. So I think the ramifications of that is going to be quite big. I think that's what I'm concerned about. Think about when Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. It was big. So now it's out of there, it's a little reprieve, or it's having a little insight into Aquarius. It's going into outer space, basically, or it's going into ChatGPT, it's going into the internet, it's going into Web 3.0. And then now it's going to go back with all that information into Capricorn and go, right, this is what needs to change. So a lot of the old world is going to get annihilated, or potentially. So I'm very concerned what's going to happen in the summer. And then again, the Venus retrograde will then sort of like go, because it's in Leo, it'll be very much a case of, right, as a collective now, this is when the Chinese New Year kicks in, right, what are we going to do, from our heart? So again, this is why we don't want to be checking out right now. We need to be aware of what's going on. We need to go into the summer aware. Now, for whatever reason, in 2020, things happened in the way that they happened. A lot of it is probably because the nodes were in Cancer and Capricorn. So again, the collective chose to go into their homes and be restricted, and everybody thought it was the right thing to do. Obviously everyone was trying to do the right thing. But then with time, with hindsight, we've seen that there's been a lot of issues, accountability issues. Obviously Boris Johnson lost his job because of it. So again, the theme at the time was very much, relevant in terms of Capricorn, staying at home, let's say, or being captive, and that worked or not worked. That's not really the point I'm making here. The collective did what it did because of that South Node, North Node, how it was working. So the shift of the nodes in the summer, into Libra is going to be very stark. Like, it's not survive or thrive anymore. Like, me and Eugenia will probably do a podcast about that soon, actually. We're going to start doing a few podcasts together. So So the theme's going to be massively different in the summer, is what I'm trying to say. So from now until then, it's very, very important for us not to check out, go into cognitive dissonance. Because when that sentiment comes in the summer, i.e. the Venus retrograde in Leo, a lot of heart-based or very big potential civil unrest or, revolutionary sentiment maybe, people will be reacting to what Pluto does in Capricorn at this moment. And the eclipses will have happened as well. Jupiter will be in Taurus. So we're really out of, let's say, what was that fear of the war energy, but it's not like it's over. We're still in Taurus. Like Uranus in Taurus was a big feature of world wars in the past. But I wonder, what will have happened by then. Will Ukraine have submitted to Russia, which is not going to make NATO happy at all. It's only going to prolong things, but still, we don't know. So I'm speculating there. But the point is, we've got a lot to happen over from now until the summer. So everyone relax, okay? Get ready. This full moon in Libra is bringing out like a libertarian or a kind of community vibe. So remember who your community is on the 6th. Remember that. That's the people that count at times like this. When weird things happen in the world, as they've happened many times, we've been through a pandemic, if there's a food shortage or whatever it may be, or, obviously people talk about cyber attack or whatever. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We've no idea how this is going to unfold, how we're going to move into Web 3.0, how we're going to move into Type 1, Type 2 civilization in 100 years, how we're going to change the financial system, Uranus in Taurus. Something's going to have to give, something's going to have to happen. And when it happens, that's when we need to be ready. That's the most important thing I can say to you right now. So it doesn't happen as individuals, it happens as a community. And that's what Aquarius is about, and that's what the South Node in Libra will be about. So this full moon in Libra, really make sure that you remind yourself who your community is. Remind yourself, the people that count now. We've had to do lots of letting go, lots of discernment, lots of you're in, you're out. I love you, but I love myself more, that kind of stuff. And that's the way it's going to have to go. So there's not really much else to talk about until we get to the 11th when Venus goes into Gemini. So we'll talk about that next week. But remember, if you do want to get these videos, there might be a few clips on accessible astrology, but it will be on Tareck Adeeb right now. I think me and Eugenie, like I say, will do a podcast just explaining all this. And if this is relevant to you, if it's helpful to you, then please go on to Tareck Adeeb, and you'll be able to. I don't know if Amy's on to post that actually, but it's just Tareck Adeeb. I wonder if I can do that here. Tareck Adeeb. I think you need to go to Instagram, and let me just write this in here if I can. I think it's at, isn't it? Might be at. Yeah, that's it. And Tareck. I'm going to write in now. Post. Is that posted? Yeah. So yeah, just click on that, and hopefully you'll find it. Okay, and then you can continue, and there will be stuff going on LinkedIn, and there's loads to happen, but it's just everything's got delayed massively this year. Remember, it's very important to, and this is relevant to this full moon in Libra, by the way. Oh, thanks for following, appreciate it. This is really relevant to just life. I mean, take away astrology, take away this, take away that. It's very important to remember, the people that love you and who you love, and you've got to spend time with those people. And yeah, we could easily get stressed out right now, financially, things not happening on time, chaos of the world, war energy. There's so many things that can get us upset, distracted, not in the heart, not in the flow, not being grateful. And sadly, what can happen in times like this is that we can become introverted, or we stop communicating. Mars is out of Gemini now. That whole process over the last 8 months was really getting a review of that. It's in Cancer now. So again, the home is very important. Love, the mother, that sort of nature of care, unconditional love. So if we're not being present for that, even if we might say, oh, honey, I'm stressed right now, or I'm not available right now. How about we just take some time out and let's meet up again over dinner, and we're not talking about work, we're not talking about this, we're just going to just focus, you know, on being in love, you know. And I really think that's important. And remember, it's very important to communicate with your family, you know. They're not around forever. I know it can be tough with siblings and stuff, for example, or even parents, but there is a reason why they exist, and more so your intimate other, you know. Remember, the South Node in Scorpio is right now, so we still have that deep intimacy that we can get to with our partner. And if we're getting stressed about the world or things like that, then we're missing out on opportunities, you know, to spend quality time and intimacy, you know, with our significant other. And, you know, work can wait, you know, and I'm saying that because I get it. Like, you know, obviously me and Eugenie, we work together, we do this, we do that. So on a personal level, if it's just all work and no play and there's no, you know, love going on, then, you know, that's not really what it's all about. So you've got to put things in priority. You've got to put things in its right place. And you know, you'll find that things are always available. There are opportunities, there are moments, like right now, it's very, very important to get our shit together, you know, with what's happening in the world right now. It's essential. And if you haven't got the launch kit, or you haven't got all these other kits that we've done over the last couple of years, just reach out to us, ask about it, or go on the website. If there's stuff that you want from us, you know, information you want from us, let us know, you know, and then we can try formulate topics and things to serve, you know, in that regard. Okay, so hang in there. This Pluto and Aquarius it's gonna be interesting. Mercury today, you know, that's the first sign of it, and obviously Venus did it last month, and we've got the Sun also coming into Taurus, you know. So, and it's all a prelude for Jupiter coming in, which is going to be massive, you know, in May. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to really shift, you know, into that digital world, or whatever it may be. Hopefully, a resolution in Ukraine. It would be great. It's a disaster, really. But, you know, again, people like, it's a tough time, but we've got to remember, right, it's a tough time, but also everything is perfect. And that's what we've got to remember with this Neptune as well. This Neptune in Pisces, it's not going to be there for much longer. You know, when Neptune goes into Aries, who knows, you know, what it's going to look like then. It's going to be very, very instant, you know, the kind of karma, for example. And that's why now it's so important to get our ducks in a row, get our psychology and our physiology, the health, and get our spirituality in order right now. Because we still have time, you know. It's weird, Neptune in Pisces is very deceptive and disillusioned, but it's also very hallowed and sacred. Now Saturn's there in Pisces. We could really formulate this now, more than ever. So, yes, it's scary because, like I say, the third dimension, the old world, is going through a massive change. And we're moving into this new world, this new age. It's that shifting moment is where the magic is. It's where the opportunity is. It's where the tacking is. We still have time to do that. So don't underestimate that, even though it might seem hellish out there. Everything is perfect. And the more that we become aligned with our perfection or godlike quality as well, we can harmonise with that flow, and we can be safe, and we can move to the places where we need to move to. The exact date of when the nodes shift, let's have a quick look here. You can see it on my notes. It's around about the 17th of July. So it's really, July is a big month, really. July is a very, very big month. To see like ramifications in the world, really, because we've got like a full moon in Capricorn as well. So, and that's when the Venus retrograde happens. So there's a lot going on in July. July is a seriously big month. Again, we're in it now. We're in this transformation. We're in this like no going back sort of energy. The eclipses will really reveal that. Jupiter into Taurus next month will really reveal that. So one day at a time, got to start realizing and being aware of what's going on. We can't be in cognitive dissonance. We can't be in denial of it. I mean, it's a choice. You can if you want, but it'll be harder then. You know, that's the thing. So it's probably better to relax, do the best that you can. Remember, spend time with your loved ones as well. That's what counts. And just see how it unfolds, and you know, next week we'll talk more about the eclipse, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be a big week when we get to the 20th, when the sun goes into Taurus. We get the new moon eclipse in Aries, which is in Aries. So, but I hope that answers your question. Really, it's July, then we start to see a lot of change. But hey, this decade is a crazy decade as well. So one day at a time, one day at a time. I can't really say too much until we get past May, you see, because until I've seen what happens in the world, it'll be easier to make the distinction in the summer. But right now, we're still going through a lot of change, so we've just got to go with it. All right, I don't think there's any other questions, and thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you're doing okay out there. And remember, what goes up must come down, but there's an exponential wave right now. If we can get on it, we can do really good in the world and transform a lot. So that's why we're here. That's why we came here. One day at a time, though. This is a bizarre time from now until May. So relax. Okay, that's all I'm going to say today. Take care and speak to you soon. Go on to Tareck Adeeb and I'll start doing this on there from now on. Okay, take care.